Ladies and gentlemen, those between and those far out, longtime viewers and newcomers alike, welcome back to the U Idaho Esports Twitch channel. I'm your host for the Vandal Pre-Show, Kaz Phoenix, and I'm joined here today on this this dark December 11th evening. Not really evening, it's like 4 p.m.
Mhm,
About to go into 5, so it's like almost the evening.
mhm, mhm.
Um, by Dusty Sullivan. Uh, I already forgot your job title. I'm so sorry. We
That's
talked
okay.
about it before the show.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
welcome either way.
mhm,
Um, hopefully I'm not already making this super awkward. Um, but usually I spend a little bit of the time opening up the guest to the audience, but I'm gonna let you do that. As I like to call in the show, the formal passing of the talking stick allow
mhm.
you to more formally introduce yourself to the audience, talk about what you do here for the university, and anything else that our audience might want to know about.
Yeah, so I am the Associate Director for Compliance in a financial aid office here. And basically, what I do is I supervise and lead and direct, if you will, the
Yeah.
team who manages federal and NCAA compliance for U of I. So if you have a Pell Grant, if you have work study, if you have loans, if you're a student athlete, if you've been selected for verification, if you've submitted a FAFSA, that's probably crossed my team's desk.
That makes
Hmm.
sense. And
Yep.
I, I, I guess you are pretty high up the chain in that regard, as you said,
Hmm.
kind of like the director of your team.
Hmm.
But how often are the hands-on stuff on and that department is actually on your desk
Hmm.
specifically?
Yeah, no, I have quite a bit of student interaction. So I do still do frontline customer service. So
Hmm.
working with students one on one, it's something I don't ever want to let go because it can be easy to forget, right?
Hmm.
I was a student a little while ago, so it can be the farther you get, right? And then yeah, I mean, I still have I processed FAFSAs this week. I processed award letters this week. I processed yeah. So and then I'm also if somebody's working with a student that has a difficult situation, I'm always there for backup support, and that's something that I want to maintain. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Hmm.
It's because I know that higher administration, especially in a department like yours,
Hmm.
outside of financial aid, but like that niche subsection of
Hmm.
what you do in compliance, right?
Hmm.
Um, I feel like, at least in the back of my head, when I think about those kinds of offices and bigger departments like that, I'm like, oh, it's like the stuff that's more away from students, disconnected from
Hmm.
what the students are doing, even if it is, related to
Hmm.
them, as you were saying, processing FAFSAs and reward letters and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
in a way, it's reassuring to hear that there are people, even in those smaller departments, that
Hmm.
still care about the students that they're working for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So even our director, which is the highest title within financial aid, if he's walking through the lobby and he sees a student waiting, he'll just grab him, take him back. Yeah. So there's not nobody in the financial aid office is completely cut off from the student population. We're very student focused.
Well, you
Hmm.
kind of have to be, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very involved
Yes.
department with students for
Hmm.
sure. And as we were talking about before the
Hmm.
show, um, obviously for this school year, in terms of financial aid, things are kind of lax now. But as
Hmm.
we're preparing for 26, 27, as you
Hmm.
said, things
Hmm.
were starting to ramp up.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I can imagine, especially at this time of year, because as we're going into the next semester, this is where the things like, okay, students are getting accepted. We have to get more award letters out.
Hmm.
I got to do the whole cycle
Hmm.
all over again.
Hmm.
But outside of, I guess, what you do presently, you have kind of been working in higher education administration for a while,
Hmm.
as we were talking about before the show. You started at Univi in 2018,
Hmm.
and before then was working in bookkeeping for
Yeah.
a Holiday Inn.
A Holiday Inn, yes. I was the night auditor for a few years, so
Ah,
works really well with a student schedule, right? So I could, when
go
it
to
was
school,
slow,
come home.
take a nap, go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when it was slow, I could do homework. I don't work for them anymore. I can say that.
That's like, yeah, guys, I
Mhm.
was totally doing my job the
Mhm.
entire 6 hours throughout
Mhm.
the night.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I'm curious about the specific night part in
Mhm.
your position title. So it was basically just you would just come in at night, but as an auditor, what did you do for that
Yeah.
location?
Yeah. It was basically bookkeeping, right? So I did all the front desk duties. So if you've
Hmm.
been to a hotel, whatever they're doing, I did all that just from 10 to 6
Hmm.
instead of when the sun is up. And then I did so nightly. I would so the date in the system actually has to be physically rolled by somebody. It doesn't just automatically
Really?
move. Yeah. So I would have to roll that date, and so that brings in all the new reservations, and
Mhm.
then do the bookkeeping for that night. Here's how much money we brought in. Here's the taxes we have to pay. Here's those sort of things, and then kind of balancing those books and making sure everything matches and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Very
hmm
meticulous
hmm
job, I'm
Yes. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. hmm
Working in numbers of that minute detail.
hmm hmm
Uh, being sure to be very precise in the things that you're doing. I
hmm
can
hmm
imagine that was tough at times, especially late at night, and also as a student.
Yeah.
Which speaking of,
hmm
you are alum of Lewis Clark State College,
Yes. hmm
down in Lewiston.
Yep.
So I'm going to take that as you are an Idaho native.
I was born and raised in Lewiston. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. hmm
So I mean, I guess I can probably kind of understand, but I'm still going to ask the question for the sake of it being on camera. What brought you up to Moscow other
They
than it being 30 minutes away and
hmm
higher education, right?
Yeah. I was offered a job.
Yeah, and that'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I graduated college, I have a business administration degree, so
Mhm.
kind of far-reaching kind of education. I knew I wanted to stay in the education division or like the industry.
Mhm.
I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just started applying for things. And the first one where the feeling was mutual, where I wanted to work there and they wanted me to work there, was here at the financial aid office. And I'm still here. It worked out really well. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm
Well, you also talked about earlier that for a while, I think around 2022, you said that you went to go work with Central Washington
hmm
and then came back here.
I did.
What initially drove you over to Central Washington?
Money.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that'll do it.
hmm
As you're gonna notice, I'm gonna ask like a lot of obvious questions, and I was like, "Well, what do you think,
No, that's
Kaz?"
okay. Yeah. 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 No, yeah. And then it wasn't as enjoyable as it is here at U of I. U of I's got a really, really good culture. And so a couple years and I went, I'm gonna go back. Yeah. And thankfully they accepted me.
Oh, yeah, it was just like,
They wanted me back.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like by the time you were coming back, it was like, is there still space for me here? No, I totally
Mhm,
get it. I experienced a very similar situation, but we can talk about that later after the show.
mhm,
Um, but I'd also imagine I think that Central Washington is a little bit of a smaller school in Washington
mhm,
compared to
mhm.
obviously Wazoo,
Yes.
UW, Seattle U,
Mhm,
but also compared to U of I, or are
mhm.
they about relatively the same?
Yeah, so they used to be about the same, but they are a little bit smaller now. So they have downsized a little bit.
I see. Well,
hmm hmm
was it about the same when you were working there?
Yeah. hmm hmm Yeah.
Okay.
So the workload was about the same, and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
hmm
th- the reason that I was asking about that mostly was because I was curious about like, you were moving from a kind of junior-ish college to like
hmm
a university,
hmm
or I guess from the university to the smaller college and then coming
Yeah.
back to the university,
hmm
right?
hmm
And I was curious to be like, uh, what the culture difference was between there and here. Because as you were
Yeah.
talking about before, you prefer the culture, the workplace culture
Yeah.
that U of I was fostering, and
hmm
I'm sure that there are a lot of different parts of that that play into your job, whether if it's like student interaction or
hmm
coworker interaction, something like that.
hmm
But in particular,
Yeah.
uh, I think what would you say is like the biggest standout thing here
hmm
that you like that you didn't really feel like you were feeling it C-Dub?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's actually a really easy answer for me, and it's the student-focused culture, right? So, no matter what your job is in the financial aid office, you know that your job is to serve the student,
Hmm.
and so that really comes through in our culture in everything that we do. And so, we obviously have to abide by federal
Of
regulations.
course. Of course.
So there's that little hitch occasionally, but we do a really good job of like, is there a loophole? Is there a way around this? Is there, can we use this to our advantage to serve this student? Like we just want everyone to learn, and money can be a big barrier to that, right? And so,
Yeah.
and we recognize that, and that's really what I think is sort of the base of the culture within our financial aid office, and within the entire university is we want to do what we can to get you continuing on your education.
Of course. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that is super important. Again, as
Yeah.
I said
Hmm.
earlier, it's like you're working as just a part of financial aid so directly to the student, whether or not you're interacting with them, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
knowing that there are people in that department, or I guess everybody in that department, who really kind of prioritize that mentality of like,
Yeah.
this is about the student. We need
Hmm.
to help to serve the student
Yeah.
in this situation is reassuring, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
There are a lot of people kind of similar to my situation when I was first coming to school who come and are like, okay, I want to pursue higher education. But as you said, money is a big barrier
Hmm.
to a lot of students.
Hmm.
Um, so having that kind of trustworthiness
Hmm.
that between like student and administration, again, just very reassuring to hear. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that I
Yeah.
got to hear that.
Yeah.
Now you've been here since 2018,
Hmm.
regardless of the hiatus. You're back now.
The little off and on relationship.
Of
Yeah,
course,
it's
yeah,
on
yeah,
now. Yeah.
yeah. What do you feel like the future of your career holds?
Yeah.
Because financial aid
Hmm.
obviously has been in a curious spot
Hmm.
after things happened last November.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and from some of my understanding, uh, some things that have been done in national legislation and state
Hmm.
legislation as
Hmm.
well have made providing some financial aid to students a little bit more difficult than it was before.
Yeah. 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 I think it goes back to that. Where we don't just take the regulations and say this is what we're doing and the student's gonna have to figure it out.
Hmm.
We say what can we do to make these regulations work for the student, and that's sort of the battle that we have whenever we get those. We had FAFSA simplification,
Hmm.
which I don't know if you did a FAFSA in 24, 25, but
I
it
did.
was
Yeah, yeah,
kind of a nightmare.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And it's
yeah.
gotten a lot better, and so it's like, okay, maybe we can't change the FAFSA, but how can we change how we talk to our students and how we
Hmm.
help our students, how we reach out to them. We have the One Big Beautiful Bill Act now. We've been calling it OB3. If you wanted to shorten it, you're welcome to. And so that it's kind of the same thing of like, let's make sure we know these regulations as best as we can so that we can know, okay, yes, this is going to be an impact for our students. How can we react to that? What can we do to support students in other ways? What can we do to, make this work for us and for our students so
Hmm.
that we can keep moving forward and keep educating people.
Yeah, so like
Hmm.
understanding and acknowledging basically just the limits of what you can and can't do,
Yeah. Hmm.
and again, still prioritizing the student and
Yeah.
figuring out like how can we continue to serve
Yeah.
the student body,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, again, I keep saying it, and I'm sounding like a broken record at this point, but like it's really good to
Yeah.
know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The money is such an important part of being here,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of things that I don't understand about how the financial aid system
Yeah.
works between the state and the nation and
Hmm.
the individual
Hmm.
university. Um, but fortunately, that is your job.
That is our job. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And we spend years learning this information and adjusting our knowledge and having the resources. And so, yeah, if you have a question, that's what we're here for. Yeah.
Now, we're towards the end of the interview,
Hmm.
but I still wanted to ask this because I mentioned it before the show. But you
Yeah.
said at some point
Hmm.
during the first time that you were here,
Yes.
you were working as an NCAA counselor.
Hmm.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what that position was and what you were doing for the university under
Yeah.
that title?
Yeah. So the actual job title is financial aid counselor, NCAA compliance.
I see.
So to water it down a little bit, what that position does, and we still have that position. There's
Mhm.
another wonderful woman that leads that charge. Um, so one really important thing that she does is she is a liaison between financial aid and athletics.
I
So
see.
she helps feed that communication. The other thing she does is every single penny that every Division 1 athlete at the University of Idaho receives
Mhm.
crosses her desk, and she has to process that and approve it, deny it, adjust it, and apply it. And
Mhm.
it's the federal, the state, the NCAA, all of the regulations, make sure everything's good. Hmm.
I see.
Hmm.
Well, I guess it makes sense that somebody has to do that job. I
Yeah.
just didn't even think about the position
Hmm.
existing. It's
Yeah.
like it's like one of those things that you think like, yeah,
Hmm.
it's somewhere in there.
Yeah. Hmm.
But to talk directly to someone who worked in it,
Hmm.
I think is
Hmm.
curious. Did you have like any interest in sports like at all, or is it kind of just like an
Yeah.
administrative position that you had taken up just because it was the
So
nature of the job?
basically, we had a coworker that retired in 2020, and she was doing athletics, and somebody else had to do it, and they said, "How about Dusty?" And I said, "All right."
Yeah.
And then yeah, and it's actually really nice because you have this very specific student population you work with, and so you grow that trust and that relationship with these
Mhm.
students throughout their career. Yeah.
Well, that's
Hmm.
nice.
Mhm.
obviously those kinds of connections are really important. So kind of like the specific like financial representative
Mhm.
that they have,
Mhm.
which I'm sure that's great. It's great for the
Yeah,
students. It's great for the
absolutely.
department.
Mhm.
I'm sure it was great for you as
Mhm.
again you talked
Mhm.
about really cherishing the student interaction part of your
Mhm.
positions, no matter what you
Mhm.
were doing. And again, it's reassuring.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't. I
Mhm.
want to get a tally on how many times I've said that this show. But
Mhm.
um, that's all I have for
Mhm.
you today, Dusty. So I'm
Okay.
glad that you got to join me in the corner, on the couch. I hope it was comfortable. As a thank you for joining me on the show, I have a jersey to give to
Wonderful. Thank
you
you.
to admit you as an honorary member of the Vandal Esports program.
Appreciate
We're
it.
very grateful
Yeah.
that you got to join us here for the show. I hope you stick around
Mhm.
for the Rocket League game today. Our varsity team has a grand finals match. Has been working all the way up to this fateful day against Juniata College. Uh, I probably butchered that, but I'm sure our casters are going to know how to say it. So, in the meantime, I will be wrapping up the show. So, from the Vandal pre show, this has been Cas Phoenix and Dusty Sullivan signing off. V's up.